Why So Political? I'm your host, Neha Yadavalli, a high schooler from the United States. Regardless of your political views, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Why So Political. This episode delves into relatively mature topics. Audience discretion is highly advised. These past few months in the United States have brought attacks on bodily autonomy rights for women. I'm sure many people are aware of the nature of these attacks, especially on abortion access in Texas. Abortion is banned after 5 weeks and 6 days, and if a person who does not meet these conditions receives an abortion, anyone who reports this receives a cash bounty, and those who assisted in the illegal abortion are faced with legal ramifications. This legislation in Texas was an extremely detrimental blow to Roe v. Wade, and so many people across the United States, including myself, were rightfully angered by this. Quite recently, and quite close to home for me, the Ohio lawmakers have passed certain legislation that seems to be an even more devastating attack to abortion rights than those passed in Texas. Ohio Republicans have inaugurated a bill on Wednesday that calls for a total ban on abortions in the state. The bill is called the 2363 Act. Lawmakers named this act based on the number of uteruses removed through safe abortions every day in the U.S. Similar to the legislation in Texas, this act empowers any person to bring civil action against an individual who performs an abortion or knowingly engages in conduct that aids or abets the performance or inducement of an abortion, for a $10,000 reward. The 2363 Act does not make any exceptions for incest or rape. Sadly, this is not a very surprising prospect, as the Republican Party has been known for downplaying rape and the sobering fact that 1 out of every 6 American women have been the victim of an attempted or completed rape in her lifetime. Now, pro-lifers are the main reason why bans and attacks on abortions are being placed. Pro-lifers are defined as people who are opposed to abortions. They claim that a uterus has the right to live. They feel as though abortion is murder and thus should be illegal. But how factual and how realistic are these claims? We will be challenging the pro-life position. And the big question stands: how pro-life are pro-lifers? Look, there is no doubt that there is a shortage of pro-lifers in the United States. In fact, it's quite easy to discern that there are a vast number of pro-lifers based on all of the stringent attacks on abortion access throughout the country. And before I make my case, I want to make clear my whole viewpoint. If you don't like abortions, or if you don't agree with abortions, then don't get an abortion. But just because you may not want to get an abortion, that right should not be withheld from others. The first thing I will address would be some very important statistics and logistics. What exactly does banning abortions achieve? Let me introduce an example. Let's say that there is a certain type of drug and this drug is banned. Legislation is passed in a random state that states that the sales of this drug is to be prohibited throughout the state, and if any store is caught selling this drug, then the employees of the store face legal ramifications. Any logical person would agree that if a certain person is hell-bent on receiving these drugs, they will find a way to do so. I mean, really, it's just human nature. Human beings will find a way to adapt to situations and still get what they need, even if the means of doing so becomes significantly more challenging. Now, this example is just based on drugs, but with something as necessary as healthcare, I'm sure people are willing to go to even higher extents to get what they need. What I'm trying to say is that the only thing abortion bans restrict are safe abortions. Unsafe abortion is a procedure for terminating an unwanted pregnancy either by people lacking the necessary skills or in an environment lacking minimal medical standards, or both, as defined by the World Health Organization. According to Doctors Without Borders, the history of unsafe abortion is marked by dangerous methods, including the use of sharp sticks inserted through the cervix into the uterus, ingestion of toxic substances such as bleach and herbal preparations, infliction of trauma such as hitting the abdomen or falling. Many of these methods are not even effective in terminating the pregnancy, but they can leave lasting damage. According to the WHO and the Guttmacher Institute, at least 22,800 women die annually as a result of complications of unsafe abortion. And between 2 million to 7 million women each year survive unsafe abortion, but sustain long-term damage or disease. I would also like to highlight the disproportionate negative impact abortion bans place on the shoulders of poorer women. According to reporter Lauren Rankin from the Rolling Stone, quote, "Wealthy women will always be able to access safe abortion. In the unlikely event that Roe v. Wade is overturned one day, women of financial means in states where abortion is outlawed will still be able to travel to states where it remains legal. Unfortunately, that won't be a reality for poor women. When abortion is outlawed, they are the people who will suffer the most." 22,800 lives. Losing these many women because of restricting abortion access is not very pro-life of Republicans, if you ask me. I mean, it's disgusting, to be quite frank. No women or no person with a uterus should ever be denied health care. And abortion proves to be vital health care time and time again. I could go on to mention the utter unconstitutionality of these abortion bans and the dehumanization of women, but I will leave you with this. If you were in a building that was on fire and you could save a woman or a jar with 1,000 embryos, what would you choose? This question all comes down to what makes human life valuable. If we refuse to hold the same value to human lives as some of us do to fetuses, then I can assure you so many of the problems of the world would be solved. That concludes this episode of Why So Political. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for listening to my take. I know this episode was heavy, but I truly appreciate your time. If you like what you heard, I highly encourage you to come back next week. A new episode drops every Monday at 8. Have a good one.